OPEC shuts out Western journalists for the second time in weeks. Media. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has revoked the invitations of Reuters, Bloomberg, and the Wall Street Journal journalists to cover its upcoming meeting in Austria, as reported by the news organizations. On Wednesday, Bloomberg News and Reuters announced that their journalists had initially received accreditation for OPEC's July conference, but were subsequently informed that their credentials had been withdrawn. Bloomberg stated in a press release, "We are highly concerned about the possibility of OPEC excluding specific journalists, including those from Bloomberg, from the upcoming seminar. In order to ensure market transparency, we strongly urge OPEC to permit journalists from relevant global news outlets to attend." According to sources cited by Bloomberg and Reuters, the Wall Street Journal also faced disinvitation. OPEC has not provided any explanation for this reversal and has declined requests for comment, as per the news agencies. A Reuters spokesperson expressed their objection, stating, "We believe that transparency and a free press are beneficial to readers, markets, and the public interest. We oppose this coverage restriction and will continue to independently, impartially, and reliably report on OPEC." This incident marks the second time OPEC has excluded reporters from the same three news agencies in recent weeks, having previously disinvited them from an event in Vienna in June. Reuters reported that journalists from the Financial Times, trade publication Argus, and S&P Global Commodity Insights, Platts, have received invitations to attend the event next week. When questioned about the decision, OPEC Secretary-General Haytham al-Ghais defended the organization's practice of selectively inviting media outlets, stating, "This is our house, and this is how we choose to manage our media strategy." OPEC members will gather for an international seminar at the Hofburg Palace in Vienna on July 5 to 6, with the presence of the head of British Petroleum, BP, and the EU's top energy official also anticipated. The countries are expected to discuss joint actions amidst the global energy crisis and Western sanctions on Russian oil exports. Reuters and Bloomberg expressed their commitment to covering the event, regardless of accreditation, as they did during the policy meeting on June 4. And next news. Russian MP gives reason for Wagner mutiny. The reason behind the mutiny of the Wagner Group was the fear of its chief, Yevgeny Prigozhin, that Moscow would cut its funding, according to Andrei Kartapalov, a senior Russian MP. Kartapalov, who chairs the Defense Committee of the State Duma, revealed on Thursday that the Wagner Group was the only military formation that had refused to sign a contract with the Russian Defense Ministry just before launching the insurrection. Kartapalov stated that a few days prior to the mutiny, the Russian Defense Ministry had mandated all military groups to sign contracts with it, deeming it an absolutely correct policy. He further explained, "Everybody apart from Wagner complied. Apart from this gentleman, Prigozhin, who refused." In response to the group's refusal, the Russian authorities informed them that they would no longer receive support for their military campaign in Ukraine, Kartapalov explained. He added, "This means that there will be no more money, no more financial or material resources. And for Mr. Prigozhin, money is a factor, an important one, maybe even decisive." The MP attributed the mutiny to the threat of defunding, Prigozhin's excessive and stupid ambitions, and his emotionally agitated state, which led to high treason and the deceit of his brothers in arms. Kartapalov, who previously commanded the Russian Expeditionary Force in Syria, retired in 2021 as a four-star general to run for parliament. Prigozhin initiated the mutiny last Friday, vowing retaliation after accusing the Russian Defense Ministry of launching a deadly missile strike on one of the Wagner Group's camps, an allegation denied by the ministry. Wagner troops subsequently entered the city of Rostov-on-Don in southern Russia and began a march towards Moscow. However, Prigozhin halted the uprising on Saturday, accepting security guarantees from the Russian government in a deal brokered by Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. Shortly before the start of the mutiny, the Russian Defense Ministry had announced that over 20 Russian volunteer organizations involved in the conflict with Ukraine had signed contracts. However, Prigozhin refused to follow suit, asserting that his group was a highly efficient entity and organically integrated into the overall system. On Tuesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin disclosed that the Wagner Group relied entirely on state financing, while Prigozhin himself had earned billions of rubles through catering contracts with the military. Putin commended the Russian military and security services for effectively preventing a civil war. He characterized the mutiny as driven by personal interests, and described it as a betrayal of our people, of the brothers in arms who are fighting on the front line. Ukrainian generals killed in Russian strike. The defense ministry in Moscow announced on Thursday that 2 Ukrainian generals were killed in a precise Russian strike on the city of Kramatorsk in Donbass. The ministry provided updated data regarding the incident. Previously, the ministry had reported that the strike targeted the temporary base of the 56th Motorized Infantry Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. However, they have now revealed that the base was hosting a staff meeting involving numerous Ukrainian officers and foreign advisors. According to the Russian Defense Ministry's daily briefing, the attack resulted in the deaths of 2 generals, up to 50 officers of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, as well as up to 20 foreign mercenaries and military advisors. Meanwhile, Russian forces are reportedly repelling Ukrainian attacks on their defensive positions in the Zaporozhye region and Donbass. The Russian ministry claimed that Ukraine has lost nearly 800 servicemen in attempted assaults on various fronts within the past 24 hours. They also stated that Russian forces have destroyed numerous pieces of Ukrainian heavy equipment, including howitzers, armored vehicles, and a tank. Earlier this week, Kiev accused Moscow of striking a restaurant in Kramatorsk, resulting in the deaths of 11 civilians, including at least 2 children, and injuring over 60 others. Ukraine's security service, the SBU, reported the arrest of a local resident suspected of leaking intelligence to Russia before the alleged strike. The agency claimed that the strike aimed to kill civilians. Russia has denied these accusations, asserting that their targets are solely military. These developments coincide with reports from several Western media outlets stating that Ukraine has suffered significant losses in its highly publicized counteroffensive, which some allies have assessed as unsuccessful thus far. Forbes described Ukraine's losses as disastrous, citing the loss of over 25 tanks and infantry fighting vehicles in a single attempt to cross a minefield. According to the Financial Times, Kiev's Western supporters have warned that future funding and support will depend on the results of the ongoing offensive. General Christopher Cavoli, NATO's top commander in Europe, reportedly stated last week that Russia still holds the advantage of mass.